You're watching the Battered Fans Network.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 34 of the Battered MLS Fans Podcast. I am your host, Daniel Granada, and alongside me, I got two other Battered fans. Let me start from my left to your right. Mr. Will from MLS Moves. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good now. Got some good company tonight. Gonna talk some Major League Soccer. Got games this weekend. Finally, right? Finally
got
some
games
already
this week.
Yeah, but it just doesn't hit the same, man. You know, I don't want to watch freezing cold weather and, some bad performances. I'm excited for the entire league to start. So I'm doing good, man. I hope you're doing good as well.
For sure. And Fabian, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, honestly, I'm doing well. I feel like the break was too long and too little at the same time. I kind of like the break, but shoot, we're back at MLS, and it's nonstop from here on out. Maybe it's a little different as like a journalist covering the league, but there is excitement. But man, it's going to be a lot of work this season because there's going to be a lot of games.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm no journalist, but we do because I do the Inter Miami show also, and we pump out like 6 episodes a week because of all the games going on. So like we'll be busy on top of the Battered MLS Fan Show. So absolutely, once the season starts, we get cooking. But we're here to talk about the 2025 MLS season. We're just going to give a couple predictions, have some fun with it. But before I get your predictions on a couple of things, I did want to ask. All the kits got released. I know I saw a lot of videos out. But if you had to pick just one that was your favorite and one that was your least favorite kit. And if you want, I'll start just because I'll give you a second to think if you haven't had one already. My favorite, RSLs. I know some people either love it or hate it. I loved it. That's my favorite kit of the year. And my least favorite was probably Nashville. I felt like they got the Adidas template and they dragged and dropped 2 colors on Photoshop and then just printed the kits. I thought that it was unimaginative, nothing to it, no story, no nothing. So those are my picks for favorite and least favorite kits of the year. Will, what about yourself?
RSL kit was my favorite. I like the Croatian touch. Yeah. The Charlotte was a close second for me. I liked the pattern and the black kit with the blue, with the blue accent, that Titans blue almost. My least favorite, man, there was a couple that just kind of were mid. Like any kit that's just white, plain with the badge on it, I just can't stand. Like that looks like a training kit. Yeah, San Diego. I really didn't like DC United's kit very well. Dallas's was cool with the badge being red, like it was a different color badge, but it was still just a plain white kit. I want to see more kits like that RSL kit. Daniel was so clean, man.
Unique.
Like that, unique. Yeah, probably the best
color combo.
Yeah, is that not probably the best away kit you've ever seen? Like that's a good looking away kit.
But it also makes sense for them, right? Like Grid City, like that's perfect.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it. Like, and I'm against wearing a kit of another MLS team, but like that one I would consider. I probably won't do it anyway, but I would consider it just because I absolutely love it. Are you about to pull out the RSL kit, Fabian?
No. I'm about to pull out a different kit.
Oh, okay. Fabian, and by the way, congratulations, guys. All 3 of us were mentioned by the MLS Communications.
Wait, were we? I thought we weren't.
We were mentioned.
Oh no! I was like, I was like, no way, dude.
None of us.
My favorite kit of this last year is. No, I was kidding.
Oh, that's the worst kit in MLS history, right?
Hey, it was $30. $30. You know,
I know. That's the only kit in MLS history that had a lifespan of 1 year without being an expansion year.
Oh, that's funny.
So that's how bad it was.
But my favorite kit.
Is that honestly, or is it just because they could sell so many kits? They could have a new one every year and sell it.
But you know what? I thought that maybe that would be the reason, but they already announced that these 2 kits are going to be around for the next 2. Well, the pink one's going to be around for the next 2. So, all right. I was going to say, cut you off.
No worries. My favorite kit is the only one I got for free, the Portland Timbers kit. No, I was kidding. No. It's a nice kit. It's clean. But this is going to be a hot take. I actually really liked LAFC's kits. I think LAFC's white kit looked beautiful at BMO Stadium when they played against Club America. I don't know. And then all the models wearing it, it looks like a fashionable kit.
No. You like the girls wearing it. You didn't like the actual kit itself. You didn't care what they were wearing.
You threw the model in there, and I can see why you were.
I mean, it looks good.
Like the Galaxy.
It looks
kit
like you can wear it around LA. Like it looks like a kit that you would wear with some, boxy cargos and some Sambas. So, in my opinion, I think it looks like a good lifestyle kit, and I kind of like that. I appreciate
Danny, that's a good shout. The Galaxy kit, that was a kit that we saw the leaks of. I was like, man, this kit looks terrible. Like, I did not like the way it looked. But then I saw it on the players, man, and it looked clean. Like that's probably my that would probably be my third place kit behind Charlotte and RSL. It looks really good, dude. Honestly.
Well, for me, and again, I don't want to take too much time talking kids. I'm sorry, I completely sidetracked the show. I'm sorry, but the Seattle one, I thought to me was my second favorite.
I like that one too. Yeah,
I thought the Seattle one was really cool also. But yeah, those are my favorites. And then Tommy's on here talking about how Atlanta had a white and gold one he hated. I hate the Atlanta kit. I understand why they do it, right? Because it's tradition, the 5 stripes or whatnot. But the fact that it looks almost identical every year, I think sucks. I think it really sucks.
Honestly, I'm not a fan of any kit until it has a Leagues Cup patch on the side, to be honest.
I think that's perfectly stated by you, sir. All right. So, yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Krabs. Predictions, and I sidetracked us. All right. So, prediction time. So, we're going to get into it, and I'm going to start with just a quick question. Teams that you think will surprise this year, that people aren't really expecting, and you think will make a jump this year. And I have a feeling I know where Fabian's going to go, but Fabian, what team do you think will surprise?
I personally think FC Dallas is going to surprise a lot of people. I think FC Dallas is a team where they just got a potential MVP, and he's going to be motivated. You have Peter Musa, who was already banging in goals without Lucho Acosta. So, no, I think FC Dallas might turn some heads in the Western Conference that has gotten a little worse, in my opinion. I think, it can't really be worse for them just because they got rid of some guys that maybe weren't too motivated to be there. And I think Leo Chu is going to, probably blossom into a good, I would say, MLS starter for them. So with Leo Chu, Peter Musa and Lucho Costa, hey, that's not a bad 3 right there. So it'll be exciting.
Will?
He took my answer, man. I just talked about this in the previous stream, and that I actually have Dallas finishing second in the Western Conference just because it's so open.
Second, okay.
Yeah, second. Yeah, because they have Lucho Acosta, who's MVP. He turned Cincinnati from the double Wooden Spoon winner to MVP of the league supporter shield. Peter Musa is a very good goal scorer who just never had the service to really improve like you would want or show his value. But now he's got an MVP who's going to feed him the ball. They got a new coach in Eric Quill, who's apparently more disciplined and for lack of a better word, a hard ass. Like he's going to run a tighter ship with the team. So
also Eric Quill is finally getting a chance. He's going to have something to prove.
Yeah, exactly. And Danny, when you think about it, Dallas had so many injuries and inconsistent players, like Favi just said about like Jesus Ferreira, Paul Arriola, Paxton Pomykal, or Alan Velasco. These guys did not contribute. But that's the thing, they still finished 11th and they didn't even do anything last year. So when you give them an MVP, how could they not improve? How could this? I saw people picking them to finish 15th. How can you get Lucho Acosta on a team that finished 11th and get worse? I just don't see how people can predict them being worse in 25 than they were in 2024. So I agree with Fabi. I got Dallas.
I want to say New England. The fact that I don't feel like they improved enough on the defensive end because their defense was atrocious last year. Really, I think they could push to be a playoff team, but I think their attack, because I thought Carlos Gil would be gone. I thought he might end up in San Jose. He stayed with Langoni and then feeding Campana for some service inside. I think the attack is going to be much better than it was last year. I think Campana will finally flourish into who we thought he might be. But I think the defense is going to hold them back from being a top team. But I do think they can sneak into the playoffs. I don't know if that's a surprise, but they were so bad last year that I would say that that's a surprise just because I think they'll be able to sneak into the playoffs.
Honestly, I have PTSD from the players that went to that team. I mean, a lot of Quakes players went to that team. So I don't know.
Yeah, they were just flopping back and forth.
Yeah, they were. So, no, it's interesting.
Well, and also, too, the East is just so stacked. It's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be really hard. And here's the thing. I don't think Caleb Porter is a good coach anymore. I think the leagues came and passed him by, and I don't think he's good at adjusting to modern MLS. So that's that. I do agree with that they're going to be better, right? Because they weren't they the they. I think maybe they didn't finish last in the East. They were
No,
like
Chicago.
Chicago ended up being worse. That's another. That would be another good shot. I think Chicago is going to be better because I think Berhalter with some of the pieces he brought in. I'm not a Berhalter fan, but I do think that they. If I had to pick another team, I think that they will be much improved. It's the Fire.
Well, if I were to ask you a team that you think is going to disappoint because they're hyped up, who would you think is going to disappoint? And I'll tell you right now, and so just to give you a second to think, I think San Jose, people are hyping them up a little too quickly. I think San Jose might disappoint. The fact that they were horrible defensively and all they did was bring New England defenders, which were also horrible last year. I don't see how that's going to work out. I think that maybe they'll make the playoffs, but I feel like I've heard San Jose top 4 so much. I think they might disappoint a bit.
I would probably say that we lost Bobby for a second.
Honestly, yeah, it depends.
I was going to say that I think that the team that's going to disappoint the most in 2025 is going to be LAFC. I see a lot of people having LAFC at number 1 in the Western Conference, and I question if the people doing that even know what happened this offseason. They got rid of Matty Bogusz. They got rid of Kike Oliveira. Elie Sanchez left. Murillo left. They lost a lot of key players, and then they didn't bring anyone in who's going to help Giroud score goals. They need to change their formation to really help him out, but they didn't do that. And they lost to the Rapids and looked terrible in the CONCACAF Champions Cup game. And people say, but Will, the weather was bad. They didn't acclimate to. Well, Miami did the same thing. They didn't make that. I mean, they didn't have a bad game and make that excuse. Now people say they, rescheduled the game, but they still won the game on the road in a cold climate. I think
AC's a lot worse than Colorado.
It's worse than Colorado?
Yeah, as a team.
Oh, the team, yeah. I don't know if they are, honestly. I think Colorado. Colorado might be a little better, but it's not crazy. It's not a crazy difference, I don't think. Especially since they added Joveljic and Manu Garcia. They've made a couple additions. They made more additions than the Rapids have. But LAFC have lost a lot of players. They haven't done a great job replacing players that will make Giroud better. And I don't think Dolo is that good of a coach. I think he's very overrated. So I think LAFC are definitely going to disappoint.
Well, Dolo feels like he always bows out of all tournaments. No, it's just look at like you just said against Colorado. Fabian, a team that you think is going to disappoint.
Yeah, honestly, a team that I think is going to disappoint is going to be a team that spent a lot of money in this offseason. I think it's going to be a team that plays with stripes and their city starts with an A. It's going to be Austin FC. No, it's going to be Austin FC. I think they spent a lot of money this offseason. I think they're going to need time to gel. I saw some people talking about how Austin's going to be one of the top teams in the West, and I truly believe that so. I think Brandon Vasquez showed that, he wasn't the player we thought he was in Monterrey, and they paid $10 million for him. And then acclimating Uzuni. We don't even know if Bukhari is good enough to play in this league yet, or we don't know if he's a superstar in this league. So a lot of question marks for Austin. And like Will was saying last week on one of his shows, they have Nico Estevez, a guy who failed miserably at FC Dallas. And I don't have any sort of confidence in Nico Estevez having a better go in literally 2 hours away from his last job.
They lost Alexander Ring also, which I think people aren't talking enough about. Alexander Ring was a beast in that midfield. I thought you were going to say Atlanta. Yeah. And I was considering saying Atlanta because people have him penciled in as top 2 there because of Latte Lath, which I still think he has a lot of pressure on him, I think. Almiron, we don't know what he looks like yet. People are saying he looks great so far in the preseason. Maybe, I don't know. But where do you think Atlanta ends up?
Personally, I think it's hard to say that they're not going to be in the top 3 of the East. I think it's Miami, Cincinnati, Atlanta, and just with the sheer talent that team has, the odd man that they always forget about is Miran Chuk. I mean, this is a guy who is a good player, and we forget, he got lost in everything last year. So no, this team is going to be a completely different team this year, and hopefully it's going to be latte time in Atlanta. And then that stadium's going to be so hard to play in this season with every fan getting $3 chicken tenders and having such a great time at the stadium. Man, they're lucky out there.
Absolutely, man. They have the best concessions in the country for any stadium.
You're right.
Will, if I were to tell you top 4 in the East, who are we going with top 4 in the East?
In order?
Sure. Are you going to say Cincinnati? Because I feel like Cincinnati beats up a bad Honduras team, and all of a sudden everybody's jumping on the Cincinnati boat.
I think the way I had it, I can't remember off the top of my head who I had it 4. Oh, I had okay. So I had Charlotte at 4.
Okay.
I had Cincinnati at 3. I had Atlanta at 2, and I had your boys at 1, Miami.
Okay, you have Miami at 1.
Yeah, and the reason I had them at 1 is because all these other teams we're talking about, their core pieces are new to the team. It might take some time to gel. It might take they might have a couple bad games. Miami's core is there. They fixed a couple pieces, but Messi, Suarez, Alba, Busquets, Redondo, all these guys have played on the team for more than a year. You're not having to work them in. So the core pieces are the same. The core pieces for both of those teams are not the same. And I just think Miami is probably going to have the better season overall. Now, when it comes to playoffs, who knows? But now Cincinnati and Atlanta could be interchangeable after last night, regardless if they're beating up on a bad Honduras team or not. Evander looks crazy, man. That kick he had, the volley, was crazy.
Yeah, it was like a Bruce Lee type kick. It was
like a Bruce. It was like a karate kick. Yeah. Yeah. So like, who knows, man? He might just play out of his mind because he's free from Portland, and then Danke looked good too. So it's really going to come down to between Atlanta and Cincy, whose striker is better, who scores more goals between the two big money men.
Fabian, who do you think ends up in top 4 in the East?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the same as well. Personally, I think Columbus Crew fall out because they haven't gotten anything to replace Cucho yet. I think Cincinnati has done enough where they replaced Lucho Acosta with a player that is either the same or better. And that back line is going to be healthy. I think Cincinnati will be up there. But I'm going to go with the same kind of standings that Will was saying. Cincinnati's going to be third, Atlanta's going to be second, and then Miami's going to be first. I think no one should touch Miami because they got better this season. I think the question we're all going to be asking is, do they touch the record or do they not at the end of the season?
My thing with Miami is that we have so many games coming up, or Miami has so many games coming up, and I thought that we'd be seeing a lot of rotation, and I'm curious to see what they look like their first regular season game. But judging based off the preseason, you have a preseason game on the 14th. Your first big game, international game, is 4 days later, and you still run out your starters 75 minutes. It seems like they don't care about rotating. And a part of me thinks that's a good thing. A part of me thinks that could be a bad thing in the long run. So I don't know if that's going to end up costing them as far as injuries go, because if you're overplaying these guys, who knows what happens. But if they're healthy and they can run it out all season long, I'm with you guys. They could be first. If they don't, I think Charlotte has a good chance of ending in first. I think Charlotte 1, Miami 2, Cincy 3. Give me Philly 4th. I like Philly with their attack last year. Yeah, Philly. Everybody slept on Philly last year with their attack. I think this year they're going to be better. I'm telling you. We finally got rid of Jim Curtin.
Finally got rid of him. He was good.
Nah, Jim Curtin, get out of here. Jim Curtin is stuck in his ways. No matter who he played the same way, no matter what.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Wait just a minute, okay? First off, let me ask you this. Philadelphia doesn't spend any money. So, like, so you guys, speaking Inter Miami, just spent $3 million on a center back and Maxi Falcone. Mm-hmm. That would be not their record fee this year. Not their record fee for a defender. Talking about the Union. That would be their record, period, in the history of their franchise, their team. So
how much did they spend on Vasiliev today?
$3 million, maybe. I think it's close to it. But either way, this is a team that drafted players, homegrown players, bargain hunting players. Kai Wagner, they found him in I think it was the German second division. The fact that Jim Curtin was able to go to the Eastern Conference or not the Eastern Conference, the MLS Cup final, MLS Cup final, and barely lose to LAFC. That's something not even Miami has done.
The fact that they were able to be one of the top scoring teams last year, I thought was crazy also.
Yeah, I just think that they haven't been able to replace some of the pieces that like the core, like their core is too old. Old is in like not age, but just they need to break it up a little bit and change it up a little bit. So that's probably the biggest concern I have.
Look, I don't know why they brought back Bedoya. Like there's certain moves that they make.
But Bedoya's contract is kind of a coach contract. He gets paid to like help coach the academy, I believe. So there's a little bit more to that one. But you're expecting Quinn Sullivan and Kevin Sullivan to have a big step up because
do you really think that Kevin's gonna have a big? I'm not expecting Kevin to play big times.
Well, Jack McGlynn's gone, right? So I mean, McGlynn is now in Houston, so you need someone to step up into that role. It's probably going to be Quinn Sullivan. They did get a Uruguayan striker, but man, like you need one of the Sullivan brothers to make a big step.
Quinn, and look, I was talking to Todd the God from the Free Kick podcast. He's expecting more from Quinn. Obviously, he's older than Kevin. Look, I think Philly's going to be that. Did we already go over the surprise team? I should have put them as my surprise team, right? I think that would have been. I didn't think it was going to shock you as much, but yeah, okay. So
yeah, that shocked me pretty big time. Yeah, that's crazy. That what did you say you had Philly? You said Philly like brink of a playoff team, maybe 8th or 9th, or not Philly. I'm sorry, the Revolution, New England brink of a playoff team. Yeah, Philly at 5 is crazy, dude. That right there. I mean, Favi about had his jaw drop. If he wasn't lagging, you would have saw that maybe. But yeah, that's crazy. That would be interesting if.
If you had to give me a bold prediction, like maybe this team could do something like that, what would it be in each conference, East and West?
Like crazy finish?
Like a big jump. Like, you know what? Possibly. Because I saw somebody say San Diego could end up in the top 4. I was like, in what world is San Diego going to end up in top 4?
I think that. Well, I mean, I think my Dallas.
Dennis Lopez said dark horse Whitecaps.
Yeah, there's no chance. That's not happening, Dennis. You can put that one to bed.
Davy saying Philly will be close to the bottom. All right, we'll see.
I mean, I think my Dallas at number 2 in the West is pretty damn crazy. I mean, that would definitely turn some heads. Eastern Conference would be. Oh man, what was I can't remember what my all my standings. Honestly, I think that if Messi played one of the it's not like a finish as far as like a team's performance, but like maybe a player surprise. What would be surprising is if Messi does play, let's say 25 plus games. He only played 19 this year, right? He won MVP. If Messi plays 25 plus games and doesn't win MVP, I think that would surprise people because most people would think if he's playing that many games, he's going to be putting up some crazy stats. I don't think he's going to win MVP this. I haven't told anybody who I think is going to win MVP. Well, I'm sure we'll get into that, but I don't think he is going to win MVP this year. But that would be surprising if he plays 25 games.
You know why I wouldn't be? I mean, I guess injury is what you're taking into account there because he's played every preseason game, and every preseason game he's played about 70 minutes. Those games don't even count. So he's this year he's on a mission. He's like, you know what? I could put all my focus on the MLS.
They count for the money though. He has to play to the 70th.
I know. Yeah. But this year he could focus on the MLS because next year it's focusing on the World Cup again. So this is the year for him to just, all right, I'm going to just dominate this league. And I think he's going to go out there and have a big year. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Fabian, if you had to pick one team that just bold prediction, like this team might just shock everybody.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. I think this team's going to shock everybody by being really bad. San Diego FC does not look like a good MLS team.
No, I don't know why people are predicting them to finish so high. I'm like, San Diego.
And I think San Diego is going to be far below the playoff line. And I think that's something I just don't see. I think they're going to be like 11th or 12th. I mean, I don't see them fighting for a playoff position, even with Chucky Lozano. I don't think that's enough. I think you need a Batman and a Robin, and you need MLS guys, MLS veterans to make your first season good. So, no, I think they're going to fail.
You don't think Kevin De Bruyne ends up there in the summertime?
Maybe, but I think that's a big if.
Yeah.
I think they're good. I think they'll be good. I think they'll be 8-9. Listen, the West is so open. Okay, how many teams in the Western Conference have a player better than Chucky Lozano? How many guys have a better player than Anders Dreyer, who was second in the Belgian league last year in the Golden Boot race, scored 19 goals? They have two guys on their team that are better than probably 80% of the Eastern Conference or Western Conference teams have on their team, which gives you a leg up. Now they're not going to make a run and win the cup, but
I'll say this:
8th or 9th.
FC Dallas has 2 players better than those guys,
and I got him at number 2.
Yeah,
remember?
Right.
So that's why
I would say
Galaxy has like 7.
Yeah,
I would say Austin has 2 better players than those.
No.
Brandon Vasquez and Zuni.
Brandon Vasquez is not better than the second place finisher in the Belgian Golden Boot race. He's definitely not better than Chucky Lozano.
The Belgian league? I mean, we're talking about the Belgian league
right here. Lozano that much?
Say it again.
You like Chucky Lozano that much?
Dude. Okay, bro.
We got Julian Carranza scoring Champions League goals. Like, I don't see Chucky Lozano as a crazy get.
I don't.
Brandon Vasquez scored 4 goals in 40 appearances for Monterrey. 4 goals.
So I didn't have this as a topic.
But it's hard to play. It's hard to play.
Player that's going to disappoint this year, Chucky Lozano.
I think so.
That's what I'm going to go with. Player that's going to just a random topic too. A player that's going to disappoint, Chucky Lozano. That's who I think is going to disappoint. So
this is your question. Biggest disappointing player this year. You got Chucky Lozano. Okay.
Yeah.
Bobby, you agree with him?
I would say that one's up. I'm gonna say biggest disappointment is gonna be probably like I want to say Luis Muriel. Those type of players
already though.
Yeah, he's already. He's already disappointing.
But
no,
I guess a new guy, right?
Has high expectations. Somebody who that's supposed to be good that we have not seen yet.
Well,
come back to me.
Luis Suarez. Okay, we'll come back to you. Who do you got, Will?
I got Emmanuel Latte-Lot. I mean, he cost almost $30 million. He's going to have to ball his ass off to make
if he doesn't get 18 or more, it's a disappointment probably.
I think he's got to score 20. Luis Suarez got paid $1.5 million last year, and he scored 19 goals or 20 goals, in 3 matches. This guy cost $30 million, and he's probably going to be making $5 million a year. He better be scoring 20 goals every damn season until he leaves Atlanta, unless he's here till he's like 35. But in his prime, he better be scoring like that.
John is saying Chupo from the Red Bulls. Now, I don't think there's high expectation with him. I was talking to Bob. Bob was supposed to be on with us today. I was talking to him. He told me that they're not expecting a lot from Chupo, which is crazy to say with a DP player, but they're not expecting a lot from him, apparently. At least the fan base isn't. Fabian.
Yeah, so I thought of mine. Olivier Giroud. I think Giroud is going to struggle again this season.
Okay.
They have to switch that formation to even get something out of him. And is it Bouanga's team or is it Giroud's team? I know if I'm an MLS team, I'm sending so many cash for transfers for Dennis Bouanga. That's for sure.
The PK assassin.
Yeah, I mean, he has some speed. He can help a team, so I just don't think LAFC, they need to choose where they want to go. They're kind of in between right now.
All right. Player to watch, a player that you think is going to surprise. I know we just said disappointing player. Player that you think was just going to randomly just stand out. I'll start. Alonso Martinez from NYCFC.
Oh yeah, that's a good shout.
And nobody ever talks about the kid, but I think that he's a baller. The goal contribution rate per game last year was out of hand. He was up there chasing Messi. Like, I think that, and for some reason, still didn't get the credit. I think that he is going to be a household name by the end of this season. A player, Will, that you think will be a surprise or become a household name.
So I did kind of shit on LAFC earlier, but one guy that I think that will kind of like make a name for himself, and you're gonna
take my young player. Go ahead.
David Martinez.
Yep.
Yeah, David Martinez. He showed a lot of promise when he played last year. He's only 18. I don't think he's 19 yet, but I think he'll be 19 this year. But I think that he showed a lot, especially for an 18-year-old kid coming to this country and playing in this league. Sometimes it takes guys a while to figure it out. Look at Toto Alvarez, right? But I think that he is going to blossom this year. They need him to blossom this year. And I think that if he plays as well as I think he can, he might be the next John Duran from Chicago going to Aston Villa, big fee. I mean, that's the potential he has. They need him to step up, and I think he will in 2025.
All right. Fabian.
All right. Everybody sing this with me. Yo ho, it's a pirate's life for me. All right. We're going to the Gold Cup legend, Jesus Ferreira. He's going to be a household name once again in this season. I think he's going to play a lot better than he did at Dallas, and we're going to be looking at 15-plus goals for Jesus Ferreira. And I think everyone up there is going to start wearing eye patches for the Pirates of the Caribbean because that man is about to be a household name in Seattle, and he's going to be a household name for everybody watching in the Western Conference.
15 goals.
Yeah, I think so.
15?
I think so.
Who scores more this year for Seattle? Ferreira or Morris?
Ferreira, for sure.
Okay.
I think Morris is, I don't know. I'm not a big Morris guy. And Connor is jumping in with his boy, Loon Joaquin Pereira, Argentine winger. So I was going to say young player. I was going to say David Martinez. I guess since you take David Martinez, I'll tell you, there's this kid in Houston. Now that Ache is gone and Coco's gone, I thought that he would get more opportunity to play, but apparently they brought in a DP midfielder that might take his shine. But if he gets on the pitch, Brooklyn Reigns, I thought he would be filling in and get a lot of time in a team that was so reliant on their midfield that maybe he would jump in and make a big moves. But I don't know how that's going to work anymore now that they signed a couple players. But I thought that once Ache left and Coco left, that Brooklyn Reigns would be that guy. So David Martinez was originally going to be him. Will, player that you think, a young player that you think might stand out?
Ooh, you know who I really like that isn't officially a player yet, but I've been doing a lot of research on him, is I really, really like, from what I've heard and what I've seen from Baltasar Rodriguez. I hope Miami can get that across the line. I think he could be pretty damn solid.
The thing is, if he comes to Miami, I don't see, he might play here and there, but I don't see a spot for him consistently playing. And I think that's why I don't understand why I don't know where he would fit here.
You don't think he's on the left wing?
Telasco Segovia has that locked down.
I thought he took Gomez's spot in the midfield.
Yeah, well, Gomez used to play left wing.
Didn't they have who did they have playing? They had Allende playing at the left wing,
right.
Though.
No, they've got him playing right mid now. So they're playing a 4-4-2. Telasco Segovia is playing left mid, and Allende is playing right mid. And when they're on the attack, they kind of switch to a 4-2-3-1. So Segovia goes left wing, Allende right wing, Messi plays that.
You don't think they would change it if they signed him just to get him on just to get your best 11?
I think Segovia might be in the unless they're gonna take out Allende, but Allende has looked really good.
Yeah, but this guy is special, man. Like, they're gonna be paying $8 million for 65% of his rights. That means the dude's pretty good. I mean, that's a lot of money for the 65%.
Look, like I said, I don't see where maybe he'll be good enough to get it, but I don't see where he would fit in here. I think that I think Miami has their best 11 right now. And I think if we have a young player to look at, I was trying to stay away from Miami, but I think people should look out for Telasco Segovia. Telasco Segovia and David Martinez from LAFC are the two young Venezuelans in the MLS right now that are making a statement for Venezuela, and they're both going to ball out this year.
Danny, let me ask you this real quick before Favi jumps in to give his player. Do you think that because of everything you just said, we will see a trade like Robert Taylor gone? Because he kind of seems like he's a misfit at this point.
Yeah, he did. Robert Taylor doesn't really fit, unfortunately, even though he got in as a striker, I guess, because we don't have a backup striker. But I do think Robert Taylor, his days are numbered here, because it's just that Miami's pretty deep. And like, when you think about bringing in another player, I mean, it's a good problem to have, but you really, when you look, you don't know where they're going to fit, because we're so deep at every position.
Plus his salary, right? He's making like $500,000 or $600,000 you can get off the books. Or
actually,
I think he's
Robert Taylor actually has a pretty decent contract. I'll look it up in a second. Fabian.
Yeah, look, we're not going to talk about comeback player of the year, right? We're just going to do young player.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to tell me who your comeback player is, go for it.
Well, this is one that can be both, in my opinion. I think Pedro de la Vega is gonna, make a jump this year. And since last year he was injured the whole season, he had nagging injuries. I think Pedro de la Vega can be a young player to watch, to kind of make that next step. And also another one in the West Coast or in the Western Conference that I was thinking about was Hernan Lopez. The Quakes were able to keep Hernan Lopez. He's saucy. He can do a lot with Chicho Arango and Espinoza in that offense, and it'll be exciting. They're doing a bobblehead night for him, so the Quakes have a lot of faith in this guy. I mean, for the Quakes to do a bobblehead, they think this guy is ready to make that next step to be a household name. That's for sure.
Okay. And then real quick, I and John saying Jack McGlynn and Quinn Sullivan. Any chance that Cavan gets a lot of play? I don't think he's gonna get a lot of play this year.
I think that's why they brought in Carnell, to be honest, just to sell Cavan.
Okay, I can see that. And Mr. Krabs was putting out there. I was just thinking Cavan. I mean, I think it would be a cool story, but what is he, like 15 now?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The guy doesn't know what a Game Boy is.
He don't have his learners permit yet, man. He's out here playing Major League Soccer.
Well, I don't know what I was doing at that age. And Robert Taylor's getting paid a little over $300,000, and that's why I think that Inter Miami just keeps him, because that's quite the player for $300,000 to have in case you ever need him in a pinch.
Unless you get some GAM for him, though. If you can get like $700,000-800K, maybe it'd be worth it.
At this point, unless they're gonna just buy more international spots because they're gonna need them.
Yeah.
All right. MVP predictions for MVP. I'm gonna start because for me, I think it's almost obvious. I'm gonna go Messi because I do think that he's gonna play more than 25 games, and he's a goal contributing machine. So I think that, as boring as a selection as that may be, because I know that that's very boring and almost a cop out, I think that that's the way it's gonna go. Because I'm just trying to be a realist, and I think that he'll be the MVP of this season. Will, what do you think?
I got Evander. I think he is going to play with a chip on his shoulder now that he's out of the Portland disaster. You know how Phil Neville is. He's a terrible manager. I don't think he makes any player better. And you know that firsthand. And I think that he's going to have Denke up top. And he's going to go crazy, man. Like, I think he got a lot of backlash saying Messi deserved MVP last year, even though what he did was crazy in 19 games. Evander had a really good season too. He had like 15 goals, 19 assists, really finished third in the MVP race. And I think he's going to be even better this year because he's playing on a better team that's going to utilize him better. So I think Evander's going to go 2020. I think him and Messi are going to be the only two players in the league that have 20 goals and 20 assists.
Fabian, what do you think?
Yeah, look, I mean, because there's an East Coast bias in these things.
You think there's an East Coast bias?
100%. Ricky Puig wasn't even a finalist for MLS MVP last season, and he was the engine of the MLS Cup winning team. I'm gonna say Messi's gonna win, but I'll give you another name since you chose it, Daniel. I think Gabriel Peck is gonna have an awesome season.
I was just about to say that also. Okay.
Yep.
I think he's gonna have to step up, in my opinion, for the Galaxy if they're gonna stay first in the West, especially without Ricky Puig and Paintsel at the helm. So he's gonna have to put up those numbers, and I think he is. And like Will has always said, he's gonna be the biggest outgoing transfer MLS has ever seen. And I think the Galaxy are in belief that Peck is leaving next year, so they're gonna do everything in their power to try to play the ball through him, make sure he has the stats and everything to go ahead and make the next step into Europe. I mean, Atletico Madrid's already looking, Arsenal's already looking. This is a guy who has all the talent in the world. I mean, everybody here watched MLS Cup when he sauced up those two Red Bull defenders. So this guy has the talent for sure.
Now you said that there's an East Coast bias.
There is,
and I think there might be a Messi bias also, right? Because I think it's good globally to have him hold that trophy. What does somebody have to do to take it away from Messi? Because if Messi puts up 25 goals, 25 assists, I think that's going to be hard to beat. What does Evander or Peck have to do? Because I think if those numbers get put up by Messi and they end up in first or second in Supporters' Shield standings, I think you have to give it to Messi. I don't know what Evander could possibly do to beat that.
Well, I mean, I think that he, like you said, he'd have to win the Supporter Shield. If Miami wins Supporter Shield and Messi is even close to the same stats, they're going to give it to him. So they won it this year because they had the best record in the league. They broke the record in points, right? And having 20, what did he have? Did he have 2020? He did have 20. Yeah, 2020 in 19 games, which is crazy. But if they have a relapse.
I'm sorry. I think it was 20 and
16, right?
15,
or 15. Yeah.
It wasn't 2020.
But still crazy, right? For 19 games. Absolutely crazy. If Cincinnati can finish first, or if the Galaxy can win the Supporter Shield and Gabriel Peck can have a 2020. I mean, he already had like 16, 15 last year, and he really didn't get going until close to the summer. He really struggled. He didn't struggle like as in he was bad. More of like he didn't really have any chemistry with his team in the beginning of the season because they had all these new pieces, which it takes time to adjust. So I think that if Peck or Evander can, if they can finish first in the league, they can hold Messi off.
Okay. Mr. Krabs asking, why is it called the Landon Donovan MVP? Because there's a West Coast bias or a Galaxy bias. Because I don't understand why it's called the Landon Donovan Trophy either. It should be called the Pibe Valderrama Trophy, in my opinion, the first ever MVP winner.
To be honest, the games being so late last year for the West Coast or for the Western Conference really, really screwed up Ricky Puig's chances. I mean, the guy was doing crazy celebrations because he had to for people to watch the game, So it was something where it was like nobody wanted to watch the games because it was so late on the East Coast. So those game of the weeks this season is going to help the MVP race, but we also have to realize that players vote, and players vote is very strong in the MVP race. So, I mean, you're going to have Messi always getting player votes.
Okay. Golden Boot. I know I didn't put that in topics, and I'm sorry, but I just started thinking, do you guys have a guess on who might win the Golden Boot?
Yeah, I'll go first. I'll go first.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Peter Musa has a good chance. He's going to be on a bad team. He's going to have to score a lot of goals. He was already scoring goals like in boatloads when he was, having barely no help, but he's going to have Lucho Acosta feeding him crosses and passes. So I think Peter Musa could be up there. I mean, he's not the flashiest because of the new guys who came on the price tags, but I think it might be a sneaky one, like Benteke was last year.
Will?
I have Kevin Danke. Won the Golden Boot last year in the Belgian league. It's a better league than MLS. 27 goals. I mean, that's crazy, right? 27 goals, and he's only 24 years old. I think he could be better. He's got a player like Evander feeding him balls. Pause. No Diddy, because that didn't sound right, but you know what I mean. But either way, I don't know if he had a player as good as Evander in Belgium. So I think he's definitely going to help quite a bit. And I think that he could score 25 goals this year. I told Favi earlier, Danny, that we're going to be comparing Emmanuel Latte-Lot and Danke very closely because they're both record fees the same year. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to see who's better between the two. One costs more than the other, both very good, and they're going to be linked to each other. So I can't wait to see what happens.
I think it would be easy for me to say Messi, so I'm not going to say Messi, right? I'm going to go Ajimang, Charlotte. I think that with Saha being there, I think that's going to leave a little pressure on him. I think they're going to be better on the attack with Pep Biel behind them. And Alonso Martinez, I saw Davi put Alonso Martinez. I don't know if I see Golden Boot in Alonso Martinez's future, but I do think he's going to have a big year. But I'm just going to put Ajimang just to get a different name out there because I didn't want to – I knew somebody was going to say Denki. And I know nobody's going to say Latte Las because I think everybody's just expecting that to fail. So maybe he's going to do great because I think everybody's expecting him to fail for some reason. Supporter Shield winner. Who do you think ends up with the best record in the league? Will?
Miami. Easily. I think they got the most continuity, no injuries. I would pick the Galaxy if Puig wasn't hurt. But since he is, and he'll probably be out for half the year, and there's just too many new pieces with Atlanta and Cincinnati. Even if they're good, there's going to be some bumps. They're going to have some disappointing runs. Probably maybe a game or two they lose they shouldn't. I think Miami, that when your core is the same, you're not really trying to figure things out as much. I think that they will win the Supporter Shield.
Okay, Fabian, you on that Miami boat also?
Yeah, I think we're going to be talking about if they're going to reach the record or not. I think Messi playing more games, hopefully Messi traveling to more games away, is going to make it so that Miami is going to be at the top. I don't see any really team touching it. Maybe Cincinnati, maybe Atlanta, but again, Miami has their core back. I think we can all say Miami still looks like the best team on paper.
I'm gonna to stay away from the Miami pick. I'm gonna go Seattle.
No way, man.
Yeah,
no way.
Seattle has the. And you know what? I think we skipped over the top 4 in the West.
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah,
I have Seattle as the top team in the West, and I have them as possibly the top team in the league. See, the West is weaker, like I think we've all said here. And Seattle had the best defense in the league last year, and now they have a little more firepower, like Fabian was saying with Jesus Ferreira. I'm smitten with Seattle and Charlotte. Those are the two teams that I think that are going to be really good this year, Seattle and Charlotte.
And like I said earlier, East Coast bias because we forgot about the West Coast top 4 teams.
Yeah.
I'm saying
exactly. You just proved them right. You proved them right.
I can't deny that. So top 4 for me: Seattle, Galaxy. Houston lost too much. It's so bad that I had it written down and I can't even find it anymore. Seattle, Galaxy, because I do think Galaxy will still be up there. I think they reloaded enough and to keep them afloat until Pooch gets back towards the end of the year. I don't know. I'm not with you guys with the Dallas. I don't know. Let me think about this a second.
That's how down bad the West is. That's how down bad it is. It's shit.
I don't want to say I don't want to say LAFC because I think LAFC's lost too much. I don't think LAFC is gonna end them top 4. I think
my top 4, I'll go 4 to 1. I have Seattle at 4, I have San Jose at 3, Dallas at 2, LA Galaxy at 1, have LAFC at 5. That's how I have it. I think Seattle is overrated. They weren't good in the playoffs either. They didn't score any goals. They got lucky with an own goal by LAFC. Now, I agree that you would think that Jesus Ferreira and Paul Areola could help. But they also are injury prone. What if they just get injured again?
Yes, and that is true.
Yeah, and also, too, you have to think a DP spot is so valuable. I think we lost Favi. Maybe we didn't.
We might.
Yeah, I think we did lose him. Either way, DP spots are so valuable, and when you're wasting one on Rusnak and you're wasting one on Jordan Morris, like you just said, Jordan Morris, you don't rate him. He is a DP on this team.
Jordan Morris finally played better when he was playing the 9 last year, and apparently they're going to put him back to the wing. So I don't know how that's going to go.
Yeah, I just don't think they're going to be very good. San Jose improved quite a bit. Bruce Arena is the GOAT, and then at number 2, yeah, dude, he's the GOAT, man. He wins everywhere. He won the supporter shield with New England. That's crazy.
I know.
Yeah, and also too, Dallas, like I said, Dallas has 2 players that are better than most teams in the Western Conference's best player. So that's why I got them number 2, because it's wide open. And then the Galaxy just reloaded. They'll be fine. Even without Puig, they'll be good. So that's my top 4.
All right. David got Galaxy, LAFC, Seattle, and Minnesota. Minnesota solid all around also. It's just Fabian.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to say this quick because my internet's shooting out. But the Galaxy, I have Seattle in 2nd, LAFC in 3rd, and then the Quakes in 4th.
I guess I could say the Quakes. I don't know. It's just when you bring in New England defenders. All right. Yes. I'll go Minnesota 4. I guess LAFC because that's how bad the West is. Seattle 1. I do think Seattle. I can't believe that you're questioning Seattle. Will Seattle's gonna ball out this year?
Yeah, I'm just not sold on it, man. I think that they are. I think they're very similar to the Red Bulls of the West. If the Red Bulls were in the West, they would be the Seattle Sounders. They would probably be the number 2 team. The Red Bulls would be number 2 team in the Western Conference, or like in that contention. But they don't really do anything for me, man.
But Seattle actually wins. The Red Bulls don't.
Well, I told Fabi this early on our stream that if you took Charlotte FC, the 4th team I have in the Eastern Conference, and put them in the East or the West, they'd be number 1.
Well, yeah. Well, and that's why I told you that I think Charlotte has a chance of finishing number 1. I have Charlotte if Miami, for whatever reason, starts rotating the schedule, I think that Charlotte could end up number one.
Well, I would take all 4 of those teams: Atlanta, Cincinnati, Miami, or Charlotte. They would all finish number one in the Western Conference. If you just moved one of them over, they would all finish first place.
Atlanta has to show me. I don't know. I don't believe in Atlanta. They were so shitty all year last year. To put in Latte Lauf, if we're expecting him to fail and we're questioning Almiron and everybody's like, he's going to be a top team. I don't know. They were even questioning Brad Guzan last year until the playoffs. So, all right. MLS Cup. I guess we'll end it with this. Your MLS Cup predictions. Who do you think ends up playing in the final and who ends up walking away the champion of the 2025 season? I'm sorry, I have to specify. Fabian.
Yeah, sorry. Real quickly, I think we're going to see a team go back to back. I think the LA Galaxy are going to get Puig back, and I think Peck and Puig are going to have a crazy MLS Cup run or MLS playoff run, and then they're both going to be sold. So this is a team that's going to be in complete disarray in the offseason, but before then, I think they're going to get one last hurrah of this group, and I think we're going to see a Galaxy Miami final, and I think the Galaxy are just going to get the job done again in the final.
Will?
So my hot take is that I think, well, it's not really that crazy of a hot take, but if an MLS team makes it to the CONCACAF Champions Cup final and wins it or doesn't win it, they just make it, right? That team will make it to the MLS Cup final, but they will lose. I don't think that they're going to win 2 trophies. I think they'll probably lose both games. I could see the Galaxy maybe making it to the CONCACAF Champions Cup final, but with Puig out, it's going to be hard. What I think is going to happen is I think Miami is going to make it to the CONCACAF Champions Cup final. They're going to lose to whoever they play, probably a Mexican team. You know, God have mercy on our soul that we're going to lose again. And then they will also make it to the MLS Cup final, and that they will lose to the Galaxy, which was my prediction last year that was going to be the matchup. I think they're going to lose 2 finals. They're going to lose the MLS Cup final, and they are going to lose the CONCACAF Champions Cup final, but they will win the Supporters Shield in 2025.
That would be quite the disappointing year for Miami because the Supporters Shield isn't a real trophy. So that would do another trophyless season.
It stays in Miami. All right.
That would be rough. I do think that Miami ends up in the final. I do think with Puig's return, I think they could make the final also. But I do think that when you think of a greatest of all time player coming to a league, I just have a hard time imagining that they can't leave with at least one league title. And I think it's almost just destined for Messi to walk right with at least one, right? He's supposed to be here in 2026. Maybe he doesn't win it that year. The focus is the World Cup. I think this is the year, and he has to get at least. I can't imagine him being in this league and not winning the chip at least once. So I'd say
Zlatan never won, right?
Zlatan isn't Messi. I'm talking about like goats. I'm talking about goats.
Goats of goats. You're talking about Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. For somebody like that to come into a league, I find it hard that they wouldn't win it all. But Zlatan didn't win it.
Well, I was going to ask you a question, okay? Because I've been thinking about this, especially since we've been chatting. Who is with the new transfer rule, right? Who is your favorite player that someone bought with that new rule, and what do you think was the worst move someone with that new rule, worst acquisition?
Well, I'll start with Lucho. I think that was great just because everybody just assumed that Dallas was just shipping it, like mailing it home this year. And I think that when I first heard the rumors, I thought they were bogus because it looked like they were kind of just ready to just blow it up. And I love that they were able to keep Lucho in the MLS because everybody thought he would go back to Argentina. I thought that it was awesome that he stayed in the league. He gave life to Dallas, made the West Coast a little more interesting. So to me, that was the best.
What was the worst?
The worst? Indiana Vassilev. I'm not an Indiana Vassilev fan, so I think that was a pointless move. So I'll go Indiana Vassilev.
What do you think, Fabi?
Jovic for $5 million was kind of a crazy move. I'm not gonna lie. I thought he was good, maybe not $5 million good. And the best transfer out, could I say that?
I was just doing in the league, like that new mechanism, like
the regular transfers across the world, because it's usually just normal or everywhere else.
Yeah, I personally thought Evander staying in the league can only help the league, and we saw that last night. People are already excited.
I think that was a really cool move, the way that they kind of just swapped.
Well, Favi talked about Cucho. Like Cucho's not known worldwide, but he is known here. Mm-hmm. And I think that is important because a lot of fans don't want to keep learning new player after new player because of the wacky MLS rules. So having the new rule does help keep some of these great players here to like know who they are and like follow them. Like we know who Evander is. Like, so it's cool to see him go to another team. I agree. So that would be my best pick. And then Joveljic is going to flop because Peter Vermees sucks. And he scored 19 goals last year, but he did it between two really good wingers in Paintsel and Peck. And then he had Puig behind him. And I think I forgot to mention this. You talked about young player. You know who I think is going to be a stud? I think that new kid that they signed, the Galaxy, the U22 from Brazil, the 20-year-old who's got 80 caps for Botafogo. That's crazy to have that many caps for that. The Copa Libertadores winner, 80 caps, and he's only 20 years old. Him between Peck and Paintsel, whenever he gets back, and then Puig behind him and Marco Reus, that team's going to be good, man. That guy, I think this kid could score 15 to 20 goals in year one.
And guys, I have to leave you, but thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, man. Go for it.
Appreciate it, Favi.
Take care, guys.
Later, no, and I was just going to say real quick, the David Martinez, LAFC, I know you're talking about the young guy there. And I think that Venezuela's coming up with this new era of Venezuelan players. Telasco Segovia, for those that are not familiar with him in Miami, he's going to be an absolute baller. He's filling in the huge hole left by Diego Gomez, and we've only seen him 2 games, I guess, now technically. And yes, the first Champions Cup game wasn't as great as the preseason, but you could see the class that he has. I think he's going to be really good. It's an exciting season. I'm really excited. Do you think that this is because I know you're very critical of the growth of the league. Do you think this is this is the year that they have to make a huge? Because I don't think it's going to be a huge growth from now until the end of the season.
Well, I am critical of the league, but I think this is going to be a good year because we've seen a lot of spending, man. Like a lot of teams, not just one or two. Like the East is really I think the league wide. Now the West is kind of watered down, but it's been that way for a couple years, honestly. But the East is so stacked that it's going to be very fun to watch. I mean, like you said, there could be 4 teams that could win the come in first place. We all thought that Inter Miami was probably going to be the Supporters Shield winner, or at least be first or second in the East. Yeah. Now Atlanta is going from 9th to first. Cincinnati's back, or could be first, and Cincinnati's in the discussion. Zaha is going to turn Charlotte into a really even better team. I think that is going to make it more fun to watch. More spending. They're changing the schedule. Sunday. What is your thoughts about the Sunday night matchup? Isn't that cool? They're gonna have a Sunday night primetime game.
I do definitely like it. I mean, we could tell that there was going to be a standalone game anyway. I like that they're actually making it a marquee, right? They're gonna promote it that way. But because you were on with me when we were looking over the schedule, and you could tell that they're doing a good job of just kind of having standalone games, which I think is awesome. The whole Sunday night football, soccer, whatever you want to call it, I don't know. I guess I have to wait and see because I feel like Apple's kind of dropped the ball with the production. Honestly, on Saturday nights. There's no pre-game shows for anything. I think it's ridiculous. I think that they're losing a big chance. You can build story. People like storylines. People when you look at that, watch the NBA, it's storyline after storyline. They'll make up crap about the history between this guy and this team, and people feed into that. And the fact that they're not giving any storylines, they're missing a huge opportunity there. And I think you could do that in a pre-game show. You can hype up certain matchups. You can hype up certain players. And make people aware of certain players. Again, Alonso Martinez from NYCFC. Nobody talks about him. I bet you in a pregame show, they put up the graphic. Hey, goal contributions per game. Lionel Messi, number 1. Alonso Martinez, random ass name, number 2. Everybody's like, who the hell is this kid? I think they're making it huge. And I'm going off on a tangent. But I hope that they do a good job with the whole Sunday night marquee. I think they have a big opportunity, and they should really do better with that.
Well, I don't know about you, but I mean, you obviously have kids and if wife and family. It's easier for me to watch a game at night because I can go do stuff with my family during the day, and then I can come back home and watch the game at night. So they're going to have these primetime games at nighttime, not 2:00 in the afternoon where people are going to church or going out with their family. A lot of people enjoy their Sundays. Like they'll go, do something or relax or do whatever. They're going to, I think, have a pregame show, like you said. It's going to be at nighttime. The game's going to be in 4K. It's going to have more camera angles. The production is supposed to be the best of the best. Like they're going to make it feel like it's a prime time game, not just it's like the NFL or NBA. You watch on the local network. It's different than if you're watching it on TNT or ESPN. Yeah. Right. So I think they're going to do something like that where they make it feel like it's a big deal. And what's cool too is that I'm glad that Miami doesn't have all those games, because if they did, then it would be taking away an opportunity to give other teams, promote everybody else. Yeah. But Miami should have the most, but just not them all. Like they should have 5 or 6 games on Sunday night. I totally think they should, but they shouldn't have 20 or 10 or 15. So that's cool. And it's going to give people a chance, Danny, to watch teams they don't get to watch. Like you're busy. I know you watch as much as you can, but now that the games are more staggered, or that they're going to have games like this, I bet you'll be able to watch more teams this year than you have been in a while. And it will help you. I don't want to say know players, because you know players, but get to know them better. Know how good they are.
Especially the West Coast teams. Like Fabi was saying, all the games are so late over there in the West Coast that sometimes it's hard to watch them. You kind of just watch the highlights. It's nice to be able to sit down and watch one of those games instead of just El Tráfico, which is the one that you kind of always. That's the one that gets promoted, right? So that's the one that you kind of feed into. I'm hoping for growth, but I think the growth is going to happen in 2026, where hopefully there's some type of they started it this year with allowing players to be transferred within the league. I think that's a start.
Good.
Again, they're very, very slow with these rule improvements, but they're trying, and I'm hoping that 2026 with the World Cup here and everything, things are going to get moving.
I have a bonus question. I don't know if you're on time constraint. I got a little time. What did you think about the comments of Nelson Rodriguez, the deputy commissioner of the league, or I think that's what his position is? He said something. I don't know if you read the article, but he said that the MLS will be better than the Premier League in 30 years.
No, for the MLS to be better than the Premier League, the MLS has to be the most popular league in the country, and that's not going to happen. It's not going to overtake the NFL. So as much as I love the MLS, right? I'm one of those, because I know many people have other teams that they root for in other countries and whatnot. Deportivo Pereira is probably the club that I would say is closest into Miami. But I want the MLS to succeed. I think it could one day be top 5 in the world, top 4 maybe, but it won't be the number 1 league in the world. I don't think so. Just because if it's not number 1 in this country, how is it going to be number 1 in the world? So I don't think so.
I don't know if it has to be the most popular sport in this country, but I think it has to be top 3. It has to pass baseball up or the NBA. It's got to pass one of those up. It's
going to pass baseball. That's not, baseball's dying a slow death. Baseball, and I love baseball, by the way. If you haven't noticed, I love baseball. Baseball's dying a slow death. It's going to overtake hockey also in this country, even though hockey's randomly taking a quick little spike over the last couple of years. MLS is going to be number 3 in the next 10 years.
Basketball's kind of becoming unpopular too. The ratings are down like crazy, man. Like basketball is really losing a lot of steam.
But they do a great job of selling players and storylines, and it's easy to market the players. I think that basketball is going to be harder to overtake. Could they? Maybe, but I think it'll be harder for them to overtake. But I do think that they'll never pass the NFL in this country.
I think what's going to happen, and I talked to Solana about this and a couple other friends, what's going to really be a difference maker is when that big time player comes here in their prime, not 37, not 35, not 34. Messi coming here at 33 would have been crazy. Him coming at 35 was crazy, 36. But when a player comes here at 28 years old, 27 years old. Like if Mbappe came to MLS at 28 or Haaland came here at 28, that would change the league drastically. Like that would be like the first domino of like, this league is different. And if you get a player like that, Haaland, Mbappe, Lamine Yamal one day, not anytime soon, but like maybe 10, 12 years from now, that would change the league to where you have a star in your league that the whole world knows and they're still good. Right? I mean, you said like they sell LeBron well, KD, Curry. but they could do that.
I don't think that 1 or 2 players make that big an impact. Look, hypothetically, or Neymar. Neymar went to Saudi. How old was he? He was like 28 when he went. That didn't change anything for Saudi.
But isn't it different because it's America, though? We are the sports capital of the world.
Fair. That's a fair point. But again, I don't think one player can do that much when people are so ingrained in the purity of the EPL and La Liga. People are obsessed. It's borderline snobbish, and no offense to anybody that feels that way, but when people are like, the MLS, like I watch real football. Like the MLS, I might watch it a little bit, but like it'll never compare. So people are like ingrained in that belief, and that has to start washing away a little bit. So first, if that starts to wash away a little bit, people start taking the MLS a little more serious within the next 10 years, maybe my opinion will change. But I don't think that it could ever pass the EPL, at least not in the next 30 years. Not in my lifetime, I don't think.
Well, I'll say this. Even with Messi coming here, and it was a huge deal because it's Messi. He's the best ever, right? There was still a narrative people could say of like, he's old. He's coming here to retire, right? But if Messi had came here at 29 or 28, they would have said like, oh, he's coming here in the best time of his career. Like he's still the best. He's the best player in the world, and he still has several years of good football. So if a guy like Mbappe or Haaland or Lamine Yamal or Jude Bellingham come here at 28, they can't say they're washed. They can't say that they're retiring because they're coming here at an age where they're still at the top level in the world. That, I think, is what will change it because you can't use retirement league narrative if they're 28.
I think the retirement league thing is also fading a little bit because I've said it, and since I've started podcasting 3 years ago, I've been saying it. The MLS has to be the bridge for South America to Europe. Yeah. That'll wash away the whole retirement league, and the quality on the pitch will be better. Like that's step number 1, I think. But if we're ever going to pass the EPL, and Davi says it right here, you got to get rid of all the dumb rules.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're going to do that. Now, if you tell me that by 2030, they're just saying, you know what, F the salary cap, spend whatever you want, then I could see in 30 years that being a possibility. But until they do that, they have to do that first and then start building the reputation, right? Because just because you do that, it's not going to jump right away, but that's the first step. And I don't see that happening anytime soon.
I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't care if we're in the best league in the world. That's not what I'm going
I don't
for.
either.
Well, and it's not just like, I mean, I want the league to be better, but the reason I say that is because as you as a Madrid fan, me as a Barca fan, our teams are probably the 2 best teams arguably in the world, and they don't play in the best league in the world. The Premier League's the best league in the world. So as long as we have some like top 5 league quality teams, or if it's a top 5 or top 6 league, I'm cool with that. Like, and I'm saying, I know that's gonna be hard unless they do some roster rule changes. I understand that, but what all I'm saying is that even if they do loosen the rules, I don't care for the best league in the world. I just want to be like in that top 5 discussion, and like maybe have a PSG or a Barca or Atletico Madrid, something like that. Hell, I would take a top 8 league in the world at this point. I'm not being greedy about it.
I will tell you, within the next 10 years, right? The World Cup 2026, by 2034, right? By the 3 World Cups from now, I do think we'll be a top 8, top 6 league in the world, because we are going to get more quality. South Americans are going to start looking at us as an option and not have to go play in Belgium. No offense to Belgium. I know it's a top quality league, but when they think like, oh, there's players that are going from MLS to Championship or the top division in the EPL or La Liga. Like when you know that you can go to the MLS and make that move, why would you go play in one of those cold countries? I'm sorry. I feel like quality of life plays a part in it also. Yeah. So if you're going to get paid decent DP money for those players and you're going to go live in the United States and then make a move to Europe, I think that that's going to be the move for a lot of South Americans. And I think that that's going to help the league a lot. So I do think the quality is going to take a big jump. And 2026 is going to help a lot with that also. And I think there will be a top 8 league, maybe top 6 or 7 in the next 10 years. 2034 is what I'll say that. 2034. I really do think that.
Scarves and Spike says MLS has to start consistently winning CCC first. I'll say this:
it starts this year, we're gonna win it this year.
If we win it this year, we've officially passed Liga MX. I don't, Danny. I don't care if they won it the last 10 years. What does that matter? Like, if our
MLS has changed for sure.
If the Warriors won 5 championships in the last 10 years, does that mean they're the best team right now? No, it doesn't matter what it matters what happens now. And if MLS wins now, they are a better league. That's just how it is.
I don't know. Look, I think it's a better league right now as it is, but
it's close. It's close
because the thing is, I think they're top heavy. Yes, the top. What you got? America, Pumas, Monterrey, Cruz Azul. I'm probably forgetting 1 or 2. León, but
Pachuca, Chivas.
They're top heavy. I think that you put most MLS top teams against the rest of that league, and they'll beat most of that league. Now, I get it. The top teams are probably better than MLS leagues because obviously they get to spend more money. But as a league as a whole, from top to bottom, I'd go MLS. And I had a discussion and debates with Liga MX fans and guests that I've had on the show, and they think otherwise, and that's fair. I understand why they think that.
No, I agree with what you're saying about the bottom of our league is probably better than the bottom of their league, but we have to win some championships against their best. We got to start winning championships against.
Oh, you're telling me League Cup doesn't count?
No. I wish it did, but sadly it doesn't. Yeah, no, I know. I do. Honestly though, I've said this before. I think I said this to you. If we played that Mexico one time and beat them there, it would change the whole narrative. Like, it would change everything. If we had all of our teams go to Mexico and still win that tournament, there's no way they could say that they're better.
But Liga MX doesn't want the tournament to be over there because they want to benefit off the money that they're making in the States.
I think that is probably true to a certain degree, but I don't think MLS wants to go over there.
Both MLS, of them don't want to go over there.
Yeah. I think that we're going to win it this year. I know we're talking about CONCACAF Champions Cup now, but I will say this: 10 teams we have this year. We had 10 teams last year. This is the best compilation of teams we've had in the tournament. Sometimes you'll have a team that represents MLS that just has no business, or they take a huge step down. Like Sporting Kansas City should not be in the
Sporting Kansas City. Yeah,
they should not be. But we got LAFC, LA Galaxy, Inter Miami. I think Cincinnati's in it. Like, we have some good teams in the Champions League this year.
Inter Miami was given quite the cushy path to the quarterfinal, at least, where they would play against either Columbus or LAFC probably. And I think that LAFC is going to take a step back this year. Columbus also. I think Inter Miami should make it to the semifinal. And the semifinal would be against either when I look at the bracket, it would be either Monterrey, or I'll put it up right now. It was either Monterrey or Pumas, right? Because I don't think the Whitecaps making it. Honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't even recognize the other teams. So I think that Inter Miami has the chance to make it to the final if they could just beat one Mexican team. If you look at the bracket, that's the only corner that has all MLS teams and then one Caribbean team. Like, they have the path. I think that they'll make it at least to the final, like you said. Now, if they lose in the final, that's a different story. But they got the path.
Yeah, no, the Whitecaps have crazy. There's no chance, and that's a team that has no business being in it. But I mean, they won the Canadian Cup. But yes, if MLS can win it, it would be really crazy. What if it was a double? What if it was a two MLS team final? That'd be crazy. Cool. That would be nice. That's a win-win. Like, I would be happy either way.
Yeah, well, I mean, not me, but I get what you're saying. Absolutely.
Yeah,
that would be nice.
I mean, the Galaxy, who knows? They could maybe make a run. The only thing that sucks, and I said this last night, I don't know if you saw my tweet. The only thing that sucks is we're playing Champions League games before we're playing our regular season. We're playing Champions League in our preseason. That sucks. I mean, you're not going to be as good as you are. Like, do you think Miami last night is going to be as good as they are going to be in like April?
No, absolutely not. That game looked very sloppy for two reasons. One, the weather, because they're kicking a rock. And two, because they were rusty. It's still preseason terms. Now, this is why I've always had the discussion about why Liga MX is so successful in Champions Cup and we're better in Leagues Cup. Now, obviously, Leagues Cup we play at home, so that's also plays into it. But the fact that we're in our preseason for a lot of these Champions Cup games, they've already like 2 or 3 months into it when we're playing them in March, when we are just getting started. So I think that's a big disadvantage also. But
I agree. That's why I want the calendar changed, so that way we don't have to worry about that anymore. We won't have to. We'll be playing our final will be at the end of the year, like theirs will be.
I know, but then we'll be playing in -2-degree weather like we did yesterday, which would be brutal also. Which I know you love to have. I saw somebody brought it up to you earlier, and you were like, "Don't even start."
Well, I'll say this too. I mean, I was told that it's going to happen, so we need to start bracing. It's going to happen.
That sucks, and I say it sucks because I'm selfish. Because in the summertime, I'm an assistant principal. I have the summer off. There's nothing I enjoy more when I have my summer off. It's like there's a game. Let's go. Let's hang out. I know I don't got to work. I didn't work yesterday. I'm not working today. Don't got to work tomorrow. But I got a game to look forward to. If you take away my MLS in the summer, that's it. I'm done. So selfishly, I love having my MLS in the summertime. So it sucks to hear that. But I've had a few people tell me the same, like what you just said, that they're expecting it to happen, which really sucks.
I think it's going to happen next year. Davey asked when it will happen. I think from what I've heard, it's going to happen next year. I don't remember. There's still debate on how they're going to do it.
Yeah, I'm interested how they would do it. Would they do like a mini season, kind of from like, let's say January to May?
June. Like I think it'd be like January to June, and then they would probably
start in June. Though I thought that would go all the way
like
to
the
June.
First day though, like not
Okay.
into it, like
Gotcha,
maybe like MLS Cup or whatever, be like the last, like the first weekend of June, and then they will take the break, and then the next season will start in August.
Yeah,
I mean, look, regardless of how you do it, there's gonna be an awkward period. It just has to be like that, unless you just take like a whole 8 months off, which isn't gonna happen. So they're just going to have to do some weird stuff.
Tell you, and that would absolutely kill us as far as our stadium opening. Like all of a sudden, it's an awkward mini season where you want. And would that cut Messi's contract short? Would he have to just? Would it end at the summer of 2026, and all of a sudden we got him in the new stadium for just half a season?
Well, I've heard that Messi is going to re-up until 27. So I think his deal would. I think he's going to play until he's 40. I think the way that I've heard it, he's going to play until 2027, and his deal will run out June 1st, and he will be 40 years old, and then he'll be done. Like that will be his final season.
I've heard 2026, and I've also heard a lot of rumors about the Barca thing. He's not going back to play in Barca, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Well, I know you're a Barca guy, and I know a lot of people watching. He's not going to play in Barca.
He'll never play for them again.
So I'm sorry, but he does want to go live there. That's true. He probably wants his sons to maybe possibly play there, but he's not playing there again. So he's gonna hang him up on Inter Miami.
He loves Miami though. I don't think I think he's happy. Like I don't think there's anything wrong. Like he's way happier here than he was in Paris. And this people don't talk. I mean, he owns part of this team, or he's going to. So like he's going to be tied to this club forever. It's not gonna mean the same as Barcelona, but he's gonna open that stadium and he's gonna play in 2027 because MLS is gonna want him 1 year after the World Cup. They're not gonna want to do the World Cup, have that buzz, and then just say, "See you, Messi, adios." It's over. They're gonna want to say, "Hey, Messi just played in the World Cup. Come watch him play in MLS next year."
Could you imagine him winning the trophy and then starting the season a month later?
Yeah, they want that. Yeah. They want that. So
I mean, I don't want Argentina to win it, but I get it.
No, they don't want that. Maybe they don't want that part. But they'd rather have the U.S. win it. That'd be crazy. That's what they want. That's not going to happen though. But yeah, so I think that's what. Even it doesn't matter where they finish. They want him to look good at the World Cup, and then say, "Hey, come watch the best player ever play in MLS next year." To all these people who don't watch MLS now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, as always, it's a pleasure having you on. Let everybody know if they don't already where they can find you.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter/X at MLS Moves. You can also follow me on Instagram at the same @. And then you can also subscribe to my channel on YouTube at MLS Moves. We just hit 6K subscribers, which is a great achievement. Very thankful for all my supporters. Hopefully we'll hit 10,000 by this summer. So I appreciate you for having me on, Danny. Anytime you need me on, man, I'm always on here with you. I appreciate you. It's always a good time talking to you. And if you're watching, make sure you subscribe to his channel. Subscribe over here if you haven't already. I'm trying to get to 1,000. We started the channel a couple months ago, trying to get to 1,000 before the season starts. I'm probably going to come up a few short, about 30 away. But yeah, but appreciate everybody hanging out. As always, you guys in the chat are the best part of the show. Appreciate you chiming in, and we'll be back next week, probably recapping the first week. So that's always fun. So until the next one, have a good one.